What's up, guys? Welcome to Annex Training's Annex Lab Talk for the day. We're going to talk all things cheat meals today. Now, before we get started into anything, we are going to talk all things homeostasis, what our body likes to achieve on a daily basis. Essentially, that's nothing. We like to sit around, we like to indulge in food, and that dates all the way back to the caveman years when that's all we could do. We weren't fortunate enough to have the food around the corner at the tip of our fingers, so anytime that we were able to eat, we ate as much as possible, not knowing when our next meal would be. We also just sat around, not knowing when our next meal would come up around the horizon, and we had to chase after it and hunt it down. Now, taking that into consideration, we need to look at what most diets want from us. Most fad diets, most quick fix diets, they put weight loss first. You see before and afters and you're like, wow, that's amazing. This person lost 20 pounds in 20 days. I want to lose 20 pounds in 20 days. But what we don't take into consideration is what I call the after. When we go on these extreme diets, we lose weight, not fat, very, very quickly. So that's a combination of fat and muscle. After all of that is lost, as soon as we start adding in a normal diet back into our routine, then we put on weight very quickly. And this is not muscle mass. This is almost always fat because our body doesn't understand, now that we're getting this food in that we haven't had in such a long period of time, it stores it because it doesn't think that we should be burning it as we haven't been consuming that food for quite some time. Now, the reason that it does that is the body wants to rebound to protect itself against future starvation of what that food group might be. The best example of this is carbs. A lot of people cut out carbs when they want to lose weight very quickly. They see that weight loss extremely fast. They love it. Then they go back to eating carbs and they put fat right back on their body and they don't understand what happens. So once they are fed up with the weight that they're putting back on, they cut carbs again. And your body doesn't understand when you're taking out that food group, it doesn't understand as soon as you put it back in your body that we need to utilize that food to burn energy. It doesn't get that. Now, when you start paying attention to what you're eating and we go more of a well-rounded, balanced diet, when we're eating in a deficit, so looking at the amount of calories that your body needs to thrive on a daily basis, that's with your workouts, digesting food, just the thermodynamic of food, so how the food heats up your body, all of those things taken into consideration, we need one certain amount of calories per day. Now, when we're looking to lose fat, we put you below that amount so your body can slowly start to burn this fat. When we're doing that for too long of a period of time, we have to add in these refeeds for our body to start getting more levels of what it's used to getting on a daily basis, since we are below that line of your daily caloric goals. Now, the reason that we call these refeeds is that's essentially what we're doing. If we cut down in calories, we're refeeding your body up to the amount of calories that we should be getting on a daily basis, so then we can bring you back down without any harmful effects. Now, this puts your metabolism at the first and forefront of our goal, is to affect the metabolism enough that it still stays revving even though we take some calories away. Now, understanding what happens to your body when we take calories away from you, a lot of changes start to begin in your body. Those include hormonal, histochemical, biochemical, enzymatic, and metabolic. All of those things will start to change because we need an amount of calories to make sure that these all keep running efficiently. Okay, we are thinking that we have to fuel the fire for all of these areas of your body. Otherwise, we're going to start to notice these downside effects. Now, we can call all of these reactions metabolic compensation system. So when we're not getting in enough food, that is what happens. We start to notice all of these changes. The biggest two that we want to pay attention to are your leptin and your glycogen decrease. So those are the master hormones that are stored in fat. It's basically, we call it the commander of your metabolism. It keeps things on fire. It keeps adding fuel to that fire of fat burn. All of these things, leptin and glycogen, it controls your growth hormones. So anything that will help you put on lean muscle mass, your thyroid efficiency, how well your metabolism is running, and also the amount of hormones that are constantly fluctuating within inside your body, and your testosterone. Now, that's for men and women. We all have testosterone in our body that helps us put on lean muscle mass. As soon as those leptin levels decrease, we begin to have a lower response time to the food that we're putting into our bodies. If we can stimulate that leptin, so if I put you on a deficit, the leptin and glycogen levels begin to decrease and we get to a certain amount where we've almost bottomed out. If we can stimulate that leptin with refeeds, it begins to shut down the hunger signals that you might be feeling, and it will once again stimulate calorie burning or metabolic efficiency. Another thing that happens when we put you on a deficit, your ghrelin level will actually increase. Now, ghrelin is what tells your body that we're hungry, and it's not necessarily accurate. So it's not necessarily that you are hungry, you're just feeling these symptoms. Now, the more that you play with a deficit, the longer you put your body below the calorie amount that you should be getting, the more intense these feelings will become. A lot of times yo-yo dieters, those that jump on keto, then no carb, they're going to have stronger ghrelin signals than a lot of other people. If we can implement these refeeds in at the right time, these levels spike less frequently and they become less intense. When we put you on a deficit, eventually you're going to find these things where you start to feel hungry and ghrelin starts to kind of come up and starts to kind of poke at you, telling you to eat. Now, our bodies are not meant to be full. We overindulge because we have the opportunity to, and we don't have anyone telling us to stop eating. When I'm on a deficit, one of the things that I like to do is when I'm feeling hungry, I'll either pop a piece of gum in my mouth, drink some soda water, have a cup of coffee, anything to kind of delay adding food, because a lot of times you're just bored, you're just thinking of food. If all of those things are successful and I no longer feel hungry, then I can just wait till my next meal. A lot of times you have to just remember that we're following a nutrition plan for a reason. That reason has to stay stronger than your urge to eat, your urge to cheat on your nutrition. Now, this deficit isn't going to be high enough that we start to lose muscle mass along with body fat, so it's really not going to be that much of a deficit if you're doing this properly. There are some other personal choices that affect your feeling of hunger. Removing an entire macronutrient. We already talked about this once where you cut out carbs completely. That is going to spike hunger immediately because your body's not getting an entire macronutrient that it should be getting in. Removing an entire food group. So let's say we take meat completely out of the equation. If we take out all meat, you're going to feel a lot different as well because your body has to adjust to that drastic change. If you focus only on one source of protein. So this actually happened with one of the clients that I work with. They were only getting their protein from chicken. And eventually they started getting very hungry. And we realized that if you're only getting that one source of protein from one specific type of food, your body's not getting variety. It thrives on variety. So start adding in things like turkey, lean pork, lean beef, all of these types of things so your body can start working to utilize those micronutrients as well as the macronutrients. Another one is not eating enough real food. If we're not eating real food that incorporates fiber and vitamins and minerals, all of these things that our body really thrives on, and we're only eating processed food, we're going to feel hungry much quicker. Now, once we get to this magical point where we have been on a deficit for a long enough period of time and we're ready to take that refeed, we call that supercompensation mode. It's when your body's been completely depleted of energy. It's now going to start to supercompensate to sites where it needs the energy the most. It's going to start to bring fat into your muscles and it's going to store that fat within inside your muscles as it's not quite sure how to get energy any place else. It's going to deliver fluids to the muscle a little bit easier to spare glycogen usage. So again, storage. When we're storing, we actually add weight, typically in water weight. And once we're completely depleted from that, now we can have that refeed. The other things that you look for signs of like, okay, when am I supposed to take this refeed? Is it once a week? It probably is not going to be as consistent as that. Usually we have to be on a deficit for a longer period of time so your body gets used to that amount of food that you're getting in. Some things that you might feel just generally, we call this biofeedback. So the things that your body's telling you consistently, not just once or twice, it's a consistent habit of feeling this way. It's all about sustainability. It's all about how long we can sustain this. One, if you feel like you're not getting enough energy when you work out, you feel like at the end of your workout, your energy starts to kind of tail off and you're not able to push as hard as you typically do. If you're not able to concentrate on your work, if you have intolerable hunger, that's not just you feeling hungry every so often. This is about you fantasizing about food, feeling hangry, getting distracted, having no energy. All of those things are more of the intolerable hunger. It's not a craving. It's not just a one and done type thing. This is you actually living in a state of hunger. Another thing to look for is increased bathroom breaks. If you're peeing more, if you're going number 2 more, all of these things are good signs that we should kind of add in a refeed. Tips on refeed day. This is not a free-for-all. This is not you just going out and eating whatever the heck you want. It is earned. You hit that super compensation mode. Now we have to make sure that you're getting the food in to revive your body of all of these levels that are so important. Typically, what we do first is we add an extra 150 calories into your daily allotment. Now, usually this is going to be mostly carbs. The reason that we want you refeeding with carbs is to replenish all of the glycogen and leptin that has kind of depleted itself from your system. Now, these are not uncommon to feel once you've taken that refeed day. Sometimes we can gain anywhere upwards of 10 pounds of weight. Almost always this is going to be water weight, so don't freak out. Give it a couple extra days. Let your water weight mitigate itself through your system and find where it is most needed. You may even see further weight loss. You might step on the scale the next day and be lighter. The next few days you may feel fuller, more often and more frequently. Your energy levels should spike back up and you'll have less cravings. On the flip side of this, instead of thinking about refeeds or adding food into your diet, when you start following a solid nutrition plan, almost always people feel like they're eating too much. Very typically when we think about nutrition, we cut out food, we cut out too much food, and most people eat somewhere around 900 to 1200 calories daily. That's men and women, before they start knowing and understanding how much food they need to be getting in on a daily basis. So when we start eating more food, you feel really full after every meal, so much so that you don't want to add snacks in. Now, wait it out. Eventually, once you start getting in the food that your body needs, it's going to feel hungry more often. Now, hopefully you understand a little bit more about what your body is doing and when these cheat meals should be taken on a consistent basis. Remember that it's not just about when you want to have them, it's about when your body is ready for them. So make sure that you hit that super compensation mode prior to adding in any cheat meals.